the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old.
I would imagine as a storyteller, one of the great things about The Hobbit are the incredible creatures that, I mean, at every chapter you have the introduction of, they're trolls, they're eagles, they're elves, goblins, wolves. And in terms of creature design, did this present more opportunities than Lord of the Rings in terms of your imagination and your, I don't know who was doing your lead creature design or character design?
It's Weta Workshop,
right.
Richard Taylor and team at Weta Workshop. Yeah.
Right, so what was that process like? Because you have, I would think, almost unlimited ability to conjure up these creatures because you can get them to perform in ways that you can get them to perform. What was that creative process like in terms of design, in terms of the looks and style that you wanted to get?
It's interesting. One of the things that I found with the Hobbit is with the orcs and goblins, who traditionally in the past we've used guys in suits. In prosthetic makeup. Every single orc I think on Rings was an actor in prosthetics. What we've tended to do in The Hobbit is to do a couple of different things, because prosthetic makeup is always frustrating, because at the end of the day, if you want the character to talk, which a lot of the orcs and goblins do, you can design the most incredible prosthetics, but you've still got eyes where eyes have to be and a mouth where a mouth has to be. So that human triangle of two eyes and a mouth is very difficult to disguise, and no matter what you do with ears and heads and chins and noses, it's kind of... So one of the things that we're doing on The Hobbit, which is definitely technology we have available now that we didn't have 10 years ago, is that we often shoot the orcs as people in suits, but they just have like a leotard on their head with motion capture dots on it. So a lot of the orcs, even though they're played by performers, the makeup is going to be CG makeup, which allows me to put the eyes further apart. It allows me they can open their mouths and scream in a much more dynamic way than what they ever could. So I'm finding less use for prosthetics and more use for digital faces. And in some cases with goblins, we've shot guys in suits, and we're also adding a lot of CG goblins to the same shots. So in some shots you've got CG guys, you've got the suited guys pushing our dwarves around, but then you've got other goblins scurrying down walkways and gantries and bridges in ways that would be very hard for any performer to do. So you're sort of blending these different techniques together.
There are not a lot of pieces of literature that use goblins and elves, but there are a lot that use dragons. And I'm curious, when you're designing a dragon, are you conscious of how dragons,
I'm very conscious of it.
So what do you do? How do you work away from something that the audience is used to? Do you try to meet them halfway? What is the thought process like in designing a creature who is so well known in the popular culture?
That dragon is still in the process of being designed. He's not actually designed, and he does have a little cameo in the first movie. So he is something that we're working on, but fortunately only in a couple of very fleeting shots. So the bigger problem with him will be for next year. But no, we've gone through a lot of design ideas for Smaug, and I'm not wanting to be too radical. The trouble with redesigning dragons, I've found, is that if you really get fruity with it, it suddenly starts to look like some sort of monster from another planet.
Right.
You very quickly can go into science fiction territory, and I don't want to do that, and nor do I want to do something that is going to be... people expect a dragon. Smaug is The Hobbit's one of the most famous dragon stories in the world, really. So I'm not trying to... I'm not trying to step away from the dragon. I just want to present the most venal, scary, decrepit, nasty dragon that I possibly can. It's as much about the character and the personality of Smaug. He is incredibly cunning, and he's very old, and he is he's intelligent and sly. So there's a lot of reptilian kind of cunning with that character. So that's where you sort of start in designing. What does he have to do in the story, and how does he have to appear, and then you work your way back into what he actually looks like. But he's coming along.
You want your dragon to be real, in other words.
Yeah, as real as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
Not too fanciful and not too much of a distraction to the audience. He's got to feel right. I mean, it is one of those. He's just has to feel perfect.